Well, thank you for staying with us on the AM show. I was just sharing my blunt thoughts, but moving on from there, we have quite the conversation coming up. It's an interaction with the chairperson of the CPP, the Convention People's Party, Akosua Frimpomaa Sarpong. Now, it's interesting because the CPP thinks Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, is being denigrated. Why? They also have quite some thoughts to share on the state of our economy and the trajectory of our country. Well, joining us, Akosua Frimpomaa Sarpong will be sharing the thoughts of the CPP. Good morning.
Good morning, great. It's wonderful to be here. And morning to all your viewers across the world.
Right. It's a great pleasure having you.
Great to be here.
So we'll be getting into talk of national life, everything that is happening from the economy to everything else. But let's start with Founders Day, which was just yesterday. Some say there's no difference. Founder (S) or Founder (S)'. And we've moved from September the 21st, which was, Nkrumah's birthday, to August the 4th, which also has its own significance as far as the UGCC is concerned. But the question is, on the back of Founders Day, why is it that you feel the Osajifo is being denigrated?
Thank you. The first question should be why? Why, if it's not significant, why the apostrophe change? And if you change the apostrophe, why change the date?
So you have not just a problem with the founders becoming founders as in the plural form, you also have a problem with the change of date.
Yes, because at the end of the day, what was the point though? We have a lot of issues to look at in the country. There's history, and we all know, even if yesterday is gone, just yesterday, the history, there's nothing you can do about it. You can only do what you do today and then change the future. But when it's done, it's done. So when it comes to history, every one of us have our place in history. That's what I think. Every one of us.
Is Kwame Nkrumah being robbed of that history,
completely.
do you think?
And why? Why trying to squeeze everybody into his cloth? Why trying to squeeze people into his space? Every one of us have a space and a place in history. When something is so clear and glaring at you, and you twist it and you try to change it, then it feels like you've twisted history. And when you twist history, it would have to be straightened because that's not why everybody has his place. We all know Busia, Dankwa, all of them, they have their place. And we all know where their place is. But when you try to change founders and make it, you might feel like others contributed, and definitely others contributed. How far do you want to go with the contribution? Osajifo himself, who clearly that one you can't dispute. That's what I'm saying, we all have our place in history. Was the father and the person that negotiated the independence with a political party. And that party, you can't change it to make it into UGCC, was CPP. And that Convention People's Party, if you want to go that far and take it from the 21st September, then leave it at where it started, which is the 12th of June, 1949. But when you go back to 4th August 1947, what's the point? You understand? You're just trying to create history when it didn't happen that way.
So is it all politics at play?
Absolutely, because yesterday somebody called in Nana Obri, said, why should CBP be talking? Because after all, we don't have parliamentarians. And so, in other words, if we had parliamentarians in parliament, it wouldn't have gone through. That's clearly what it means, because it was a parliamentary decision. It wasn't anything that the people of Ghana said, let's change, because the people of Ghana know the history.
Right.
And here is the point. UGCC is United Gold Coast. That was before Ghana. The Gold Coast map and the Ghana map is different. Who do you actually...
After the plebiscite, right.
You understand? So you cannot go that far It's just
but is it not mere semantics? It is the same. Yes, you could talk about Transvolta Togoland being added to Ghana, but it's the same, more or less, geographical boundary that is Ghana today, which was the Gold Coast.
The nation Ghana, the nation Ghana is not the same as with the Gold Coast as it is today.
I agree, but I'm saying that
so when you
by and large, what was representative of Ghana or the Gold Coast then is by and large what we see in Ghana today.
That's my point, though. The point I'm making, though, is that when you are talking about a founder of a nation, you must look at the picture. You cannot just deduce that, oh, some people thought that, yes, it should have been A, B, C, D. At the time of independence, who said we should wait? Who said we should have? Who was begging the Queen not to give us the independence at the time?
Was that really what happened? Because it was simply, a contest of two ideas. Those saying self-government in the shortest possible time, which was the rest of the members of the UGCC, and Frimpomaa, who was saying self-government now, which led him to go and form the CPP.
Please, let's look. Let's. Today you are here, I'm here. Okay, because it's happened, you might think it would have happened. Where is African Union? Where is it? You remember?
It's now the AU.
No. So where is AU? Outside paper, where is AU? Do you have AU? Do you have any unity? Even in ECOWAS, do you have unity? Can you even get here to go to Togo and go anywhere without any boundaries? The points I'm making is that independence now and independence gradually makes a huge difference between us not having united Africa. As to compare, on the day that Osagyefo stood at the United Nations and spoke about unity, Africa must unite. If you look at the passion and what he said, it was clear that he was ready and he thought we should be ready then. And some people thought it should be ready and gradual. And the same way today, we don't have it. I'm telling you that it's the belief system. It's what you think as at that time that makes you take a step. And you know what? You see what you discussed today.
Right.
You see what you spoke about. How Ghana is where it is, even in terms of our resources. It's because there's some people who think that we are not capable, that we should wait for the right person should train us, to get us ready, to give us what we need because we can't do it by ourselves. And because of that belief system, you would always go back there to ensure that give the person your gold, your diamond, because they are better. They have the machinery. But if you think for one moment and realize that you are capable, you notice that the goal that you have is even more powerful than the equipment. And therefore, you cannot and should not make any arrangement that does not give you a much higher portion of your gold or your all. You can't, but you can only do that if you don't believe in yourself, if you think, and it's psychological.
And of course, recently we were talking about, Mr. President was talking about, how much it cost us being colonized and how we need reparation to be done. I don't know what your take is on that, because I feel that where we've got to, reparation likely would not come, at least from the trajectory we've seen from these Western and Eastern powers that came here and colonized Africa in the first place. And I don't even feel that it's something we should be touting too loudly, because no amount of reparation can repair the damage that was done to us over the centuries of colonial rule. But let's quickly look at this. The founders' cake, though, let's imagine that we have a cake and it's for all the founders. Is it not big enough to accommodate? And I'm going to try to recall all the members of the Big Six. We have them on our CD notes. They share a spot on our CD notes without fighting. So if I recall correctly, we have Ebenezer Akweje, we have William Oforiatta, we have Emmanuel Obechebi Lamte, we have J.B. Dankwa, we have Edward Akufo-Addo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. They were together. They are on our CD notes. There's no fighting in there. There's no contestation. So why can't we have a founders S apostrophe?
What happened to his face on the two CDs? Listen, if we can't see what is happening clearly, what happened to his face on the two CDs? They are already like you said, the founders are there. Why squeeze him again to the day that has been cautioned for him as the Founders' Day for Ghana? Why change the apostrophe? Why change the date to... Listen.
But like they've said, like the argument has been made. In fact, some have even gone on to say that even outside of this number, There are so many people, like the woman we see on the 50 Peswa coin.
Precisely.
And many others who contributed in immense ways. For those who may not know, during the Nkrumah era, even before he won, became leader of government business and all of that, a lot of these women, with their resources,
absolutely
helped. Else, the CPP would not have been the CPP.
Absolutely, and the youth.
So, I mean, if we want to pursue this argument, we could go ad nauseum. Oh, this person must be added. That person must be added. That person, and would never end the list.
And that's exactly the point you are making, though. That's the point we are making. Therefore,
so we should just stay with Nkrumah.
That's exactly. You stay with the person with whom the whole thing started and ended with. That's why it started and ended with him. It should have. There's always a starting point with life. Your father, your grandparents, and everyone, including the people who fed you and the people who clothed you. But no idea starts with one person.
Right.
But it is someone who, at a point in history, is standing there when it's handed over and the picture was taken. Now you want to just take that picture out and squeeze in other people who told him to go and stand there. It doesn't work that way. There's a place for everyone, so you recognize those people. Look at what is going to happen now at the mausoleum. The mausoleum is Nkrumah's place where he's been buried.
Right.
And it is a place dedicated and reverence for him. It's been left to rot, sort of. Now you find money to renovate. You are now asking to bring everybody on board for what? So that, why can't you create a place for the other people? I'm saying.
And so the Nkrumah mausoleum must be about Nkrumah, reflecting the name it bears.
Reflecting the name it bears, plus the reverence that it is for that place. And we should not now try and squeeze in everybody else. I don't even think that if we can consult our ancestors, they want that. It's not necessary. Some
have said that, bringing in all the others, some of whom, counted, dogged Nkrumah at every turn, some of whom allegedly tried to kill him. You remember the bombing in Kulungugu and other things, is a travesty.
Absolutely.
As far as, do you agree with that?
And it's the same mentality. The mentality is that anything in Nkrumah, and even including the books. Look at the textbooks that we had to fight before the lady pulled some of them out.
I was about to get into that.
Yes, everything in Nkrumah now has to be placed at the back burner. They want to make sure that they.
Who are they?
The UP. We know who they are. We know the current government. Who was the one that actually helped to get Nkrumah's name there? There's nothing they can do. That's what I'm saying. When you twist history, it will be straightened. This is twisting history. To just because you have the power. When you have power, you're not supposed to use it to sit on people. You're supposed to use that power to lift the others that you can. Everybody has its place. In Nkrumah, you cannot squeeze down Kwabuzia and everybody into the space of Osadifo. I don't even think they would have done that if they were alive. Is it only about founders? Is there no other ways and other areas that we can teach what these people also did? Because they are all our fathers who also contributed to Ghana as we have it today. But why say they founded Ghana when they did not? Why say they founded Ghana when they did not?
Their contributions should be what? Overlooked?
No. Be placed where it is.
We should give them a different recognition. Basically.
Recognition, because they are not what we want to force them to be. It is not just only about founders. Indeed, now that they've forced these founders into this space, okay, and some group are saying no, because it's not the populace that did that. What's going to happen when you are not there?
And I was about to ask even, progressively, moving forward, and there are more Nkrumah inclined political parties in our dispensation.
Yes.
I mean, that is to say, for example, that if your party, the CPP, secured power, the reins of power in 2024, you would basically try to undo everything they've done.
No, we won't undo everything, but we will straighten that history.
Like what?
We will not say these are all found. They are not founders. For goodness sake.
So at least that would change. If a CPP government came,
absolutely,
that would change.
That would change.
Would you revert to September 21, or would you go to the 12th of June?
That I couldn't sit here and say, but we would definitely reverse to. I'm sure it should reverse to what it was before,
which is September 21.
Yes. That was what it was. Why change it? Why make it a Memorial Day and make this one a holiday? What is the point? They could have created a holiday for the Big Six in a different context, not necessarily as the founders, because they are not the founders.
Some people say that, and when you go to South Africa, it is undisputed how much reverence they pay to Madiba, Nelson Mandela. When you go to other countries, it is same. I mean, the Chinese and Chairman Mao and others, they all have... Exactly. Even Patrice Lumumba.
Yes.
They all have reverence for specific leaders. But some would also say that there is the touristic aspect of it and selling your own. You don't go to South Africa without wanting to, go to, is it Robben Island, and find out what happened to Madiba there, among other things. Here in Ghana, some go as far as saying that by, like what you say, denigrating Nkrumah, we are cutting short our potential, even in terms of tourism, in terms of how we could sell the man Nkrumah, the man of the 21st century, by the way, according to that BBC Africa poll. And I'll just add this. Before you share your thoughts, I went to Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso many years ago, and I found it rather curious that a major road like the Temba Motorway was actually dedicated to the man Kwame Nkrumah. For you, what does this mean when it comes to what the impact, negative impact could be of what you think is happening?
First of all, let's look at the parts of tourism. The idea for turning the mausoleum into a memorial park, into Nkrumah's mausoleum, is now because of tourism. You don't need to bring all of them there to make it a tourist center. You just need to improve it and create another center. After all, the cathedral space is there. So you can take a portion of that cathedral space, it's also in a very good location, and put the other...
You mean the National Cathedral?
That's my point. That space from the National Cathedral is there. And it's a nice location, and it's a center location. Creates a space there for any other tourist attraction that you want to have with the other 6, or including the 6, so that if you think Nkrumah's name is what will attract people there, then add his name everywhere else. But don't change where he's lying. Don't change where he's been buried. Don't change his monument. Don't change what it is. Because I know that leaders who come to this country, and the one place they want to go is go to the Nkrumah Mausoleum. So why change that? So I agree with you. I really don't think, I think it's the mentality and that petty, there's a certain triviality that we are putting to things that are not necessary. Instead of us getting up to do what we can do for ourselves, think of what I can do to improve something. You are always thinking of what somebody else has and how you can take that thing away from that person. It's not a good thinking. It's not a good thing. Nkrumah is gone. He's already made his contribution. Nobody can change it. Yes, he came to join UGCC. Yes, he left. If he had not left, maybe we still have been like South Africa. It would have taken us about 50 years.
All the way into the 90s.
Before we would have gotten our independence. Like we don't have anything for African Union today.
But some would also tell you on the reverse, on the flip side, that look at South Africa today, and that partly and this is not an opinion that I share, but at least we must look at all the dynamics, that on the back of, remaining in that situation for so long, they are far more advanced now. Is that something you can dispute?
Oh my God, absolutely. When I hear such statements, it's so sad. Then what about Rwanda?
Right.
Why wouldn't we use the current one that we know that an African has done? No, absolutely no. That is not the truth. The fact is that when you go to South Africa, there are more the Africans who live in poverty. Look at the way they burn themselves. Is that the kind of world that we want? Look at
xenophobia.
Yes. Look at the way they do it. Look at the way they treat others. Do you love yourself? Is that what it is?
Listen. But that is not a general reflection of South Africa. It's actually a pocket of what happens in a small portion of South Africa.
But it is a very important reflection that shows you what the people have gone through in the past. You understand? So you cannot take today and ignore what has happened in the past. The thinking of people, who they think they are, is what they do.
Right.
So I will never, ever. And that is why our father said, it is better to what's the statement again? Something about servitude in tranquility than...
Right.
He said self-governance in danger than servitude in tranquility.
Right.
We must manage our own things. If you can't think that way, you would always go to IMF. If you can't think that way, you would never think that you sign a contract, that the lithium you have, you give it out. If you can't think that way, you can't think that you are equal or even better than the Chinese. I'm just saying something here. You can't think that you are equal or even better than the American or better than the Japanese. or the British. You think that they have made it so they are always going to be ahead. Life does not work that way. Once you have the resources and you have the human resource as well, there's sky and there's earth. The difference is what you are thinking. The difference is what you believe you are, who you are. It is not just about, you must have that deep conviction that you are capable. And that is what I'm sitting here talking about.
And you feel our leaders don't have that conviction?
They don't. If they did, how can you within a month or less than a month say that going to IMF is will be a dire situation for Africa, for Ghana, and that we are never going and that we won't go, and then we find ourselves there? It means that something is very, very wrong with we might know it's wrong, but our belief system, what we end up signing and thinking and saying has very little to do with our deep convictions. And I believe that somehow that is why, you see, when you have the wrong policies, the policies that you bring together, you put out there, has to do with what you think and where you want to get to and your own vision. The policy of private sector being the engine of growth, that property owning democracy is a nice thing. I want to be wealthy, but when you look at the bigger picture, when a nation is poor, when a nation has no wealth, that nation, and the nation opens its door for free trade, and then other nations that are rich, that can give their citizens cheaper money with very little interest and more money, will come and take over everything you have. That's why we're giving out our gold. That's why we're giving out our bauxite. We are going to give out our lithium if you have it. We are giving out our oil. We're giving out even our talk time, even our data. Look at what is happening today. Clearly, these people do not have it. They don't understand. They don't understand that as a nation, we ourselves must be rich. And that we are already blessed. It is Enti sika na otiso na wo won use sika na sebe na ye den nyansa be na wo. So me, I really think that this country is not going to go nowhere. We are still going to go back and forth, backwards, forward, as we're doing, until the day that we realize that we can do it, we are capable, and that means that when you make that statement, take steps.
All right, let me hold you on that. Let's talk about broader governance issues, because, of course, we all recall what this administration told us, that they have the men, and by extension,
clearly they don't have the women.
And by extension, the women.
No, really.
They have about
they have the men, yeah, I believe, but they don't have the women. Clearly, that's
but you could also say that they use that in a generic sense. I mean, even the Bible does that. When it says man, it doesn't. But let's look at some points you've made on the National Cathedral, the IMF program, and we'll talk about other matters. I think I'll reserve the bit about the National Cathedral for later. But let's talk about general governance issues, and I'll start from here. If you had to, I do this often, so pardon me. If you had to assess the MPP administration, and we've done this before, I want to know whether there's any change. From 2016 till now, it's been some 6 years, almost 6 years. How would you rate it in terms of performance across the board?
The only lack MPP has for me, is that me as a person, this is not even me as a political party, I'll give them a 4 instead of maybe a 2. Simply because... So
you would have given them 2, but you'll give them a 4?
Yes.
Out of 10?
Yes, because of the SHS.
Because of free SHS?
Yeah, because they continued with the Osagyefo policies. Because they continued with the CPP policy of free SHS and education. Because I believe so much in education, and I believe so much that every young person and everybody must be given opportunity to maximize their potential. You understand? So for me, it's one of those things. I say it takes everything from me. However, from day one, I knew they had messed up when on the decision they did with their banks. I just couldn't believe it.
You mean the banking sector cleanup?
Absolutely. I thought that was the most, I said, personal vendetta. You know, you could see that somebody was going after somebody and did not think. And in the process, can't believe the amount of money that they put to clean up the city.
We've expended about 21 billion. Recently, we were told about another 8 billion. would go into that.
It's not about cleanup. They messed up. If you say cleanup, it's like there was already a mess and you clean. No, there might have been some issues. There was a simpler way. How could they have done it? You have intelligent young people like you and others who are in the banking sector. Okay, you clearly think there's a problem. It's the directors that you might have had issues with, not the workers at the bank. Why didn't you bring people in who would work with them, give them money there, and force them, if they use their minds to be there to create the solution, the problems, they should be able to solve the problem. Let them work. But you took them off the hook. You took all of them and then closed down most of the microfinance that was taking care of the petty traders, and you don't have the resources or even the system to reach the petty traders. So in the process, you've just given money. That is the worst, for me, the worst crime or whatever they've done. That is horrific, that decision.
And we've made mention of the fact that, yes, even the finance minister has accepted that it has, even impacted where we are now. When recently at the Accra Business School, we heard from Vice President Dr. Baumia. He made mention of the fact that apart from COVID-19, the Russo-Ukrainian war, two other factors that had really impeded our work. First of all, what we are paying to the IPPs, the independent power producers, excess energy, and what we have to cough up for that, and the banking sector cleanup.
That's a big mistake.
So, at least from that angle, we know that it's contributed to where we are. But some also say that without this, the situation could have been far worse. In fact, Nigeria, for example, also had its own banking sector cleanup, though slightly different from what we did. But like the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, says, it was necessary.
To do what? Yes, necessary to support the banking sector, but how you do it makes a difference. That's my point. My point is like the way they did
it was targeted, basically.
That's my point.
It was political. That's what you're saying.
Yes, and in the process, they took several other decisions that they shouldn't have taken, especially the microfinance. Why didn't they support the microfinance people with funding? Because most of them were private sector, young, small private sectors that were helping people. I know personally people who were in that sector who currently today are free because they were owing money, but they were also quite smart. So if you had given them loan and put some kind of management to work with them, you'd have created jobs with those management groups and then also made them work to pay off the money. But to take them off the hook and say you pay the creditors, not the creditors, the depositors, okay? And they knew that before. So most of them just cooked the books. Listen, that was a major failure. I don't care how they sit down there and try to justify it. I'm sure. And maybe it's possible they don't even know. They don't even know that wasn't what they should have done. What they did with the banking sector is one of the, if it's not the major reason, might be like 90% the reason why we are where we are today. Because Ghana is about petty traders. Ghana is not, only a small chunk of Ghanaians are hired by government or even into any other. Most Ghanaians employ themselves. And they employ themselves through the support of these microfinance. So you must only improve it and make the interest better for them with government funding. If that 20 billion had gone to support private sector, small, do you know the kind of jobs that it rolls over to, the kind of income that it generates and all that? I really don't think these people really got it. The economic team completely lost it with that one.
Let me ask you, staying on management matters and the economy specifically. We have inflation that stands at around, at the last time, 29.8%. Utilities are due to go up on September the 1st. The cedi has lost about 20.7% of its value since January, about another 7% in recent times. And there's a whole lot more. When you look at our economy, I know you're a business person as well. What picture do you see? And do you feel, like some have suggested, that Ken Ofori-Atta, finance minister, should bow out?
That's exactly the point I made. that looking at the economy, I mean, as for the numbers, when I hear them, I laugh because very soon NDC is also going to come and tell us some numbers and that they brought, and all the numbers do not reflect in the lives of the people. I'm surprised when you hear these numbers in the US or other countries, people's lives have improved. In Ghana, you would understand. IMF.
But the US is also seeing some of the worst inflation.
No, I understand. When they say,
in decades.
That's the point I'm making. That when you hear that there's inflation, or they've been able to reduce inflation, it reflects in the lives of the people. It reflects in the salary they make. It reflects in the payments of things. In Ghana, all these numbers don't do much. Right now, where we stand. If they've doubled it to 29 point something now, almost 29, almost 30, it's like twice as much within this time. It's scary. If you look at the debt, how much we owe, it's scary. I'm not saying that everything is on the head of MPP. No, it's been like that for a while. NDC.
So, for example, the NDC also has a role to play. They should share in the burden of what is happening now.
Absolutely. What did NDC do with the oil industry, energy? What happened? They were importing finished goods, yet we had toll there. They took over from the MPP, so we would have expected that at least we would have been producing our own, processing the oil here, but we didn't. So for me, it's the same mentality.
Still isn't functional.
It's still not functional. The factories that collapsed still are not functional. So for me, I really don't think these people have the solution. And if you tell me if there's something called dire situation, what I see happening in Ghana very soon, we should now go back to Operation Feed Yourself. Immediately, we should focus on agriculture. Everything else we are going to do would not help us. All this, we should leave this macro economy decision making between Ghana and IMF, now that we've gone to IMF, okay? Because they will try to help with us controlling our expenditure and all those things. But we should immediately focus on the micro, on the sub-micro as well. We should focus on how do we get Ghana to work. Because these people are not going to get us to work. And the only way I see it immediately is to focus on agriculture. Let's make sure that we put energy, money, and everything in agriculture. Let's not talk about food and job, which is exactly what agriculture is and we don't understand. Let's talk about Operation Feed Yourself.
But how can you do that without planting for food and jobs, which you're referencing now? I mean, if Kutu Champong could do it, and I know some people during his regime, Dr. Abudu and others who made that happen, why can't PFFJ do it for us now?
What's the name? Say it again.
Planting for food and jobs.
What is that supposed to mean? You plant for food and job. Without saying it, the farmer, that's the job for the farmer. Without saying it, when I eat kenke, it is because somebody has planted. You see, there's some slogans and some statements that you make. It gets people to do things. When you tell me Operation Feed Yourself, me, myself, it tells me that I should feed myself. So my farm, the garden in our home was turned into tomatoes and everything. We saw it as a pride. There was no empty land. You understand? If you had land and you didn't use, anybody could come and plant on it. That was part of the whole Operation Feed Yourself. So I'm saying that, yes, some statements, it doesn't bring a paradigm shift, it doesn't make people change their thinking or their behavior for that matter. So this one, planning for...
So would you say that... Would you say that entire concept, which we've had for quite a number of years and invested so much money in, has not lived up to expectation then?
No, because do you remember what the minister said? That the reason why food prices have gone up and we can't see what food out there is because of middlemen. Middlemen were there before I was born, and they will continue to be there. And when you know that middlemen are going to be there, that's why you do food not only focus on farming, but also on the food distribution. And that's why we had food distribution. That's why we had factories that were going to absorb the farming produce. If you don't do all that chain system and you leave it and you focus on food and job, and you don't focus on the food, because I have to consume the yam, like you were saying today. How am I going to get the yam in Accra? You didn't focus on that. You are now trying to plant, give contract for warehousing. You see, let me tell you where government goes very wrong. You take a minister like the Minister for Agriculture, very nice person. I'm sure he has his own vision and things.
Dr. Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
Right.
Yet you put him in that area, and what happens is he ends up trying to build the warehouse. He's trying to do everything along the chain. It is all government. They are trying to do A to Z. Meanwhile, they call themselves the private sector and property owning democracy. Yet they don't really work with the private sector in a way that doesn't benefit them.
So I get the point you're making, that even in trying to execute all of these, they are doing it from a very central point,
and that
which creates problems, because like with the American version of the capitalist enterprise or property owning democracy, government only gives you the channels and leaves private enterprise to basically run the show. That's what you're...
Yeah, it gives you the channel and the support system. So here you have the farmer. Now, listen, look at what happened in the private sector with education. Because education was opened up, now everywhere somebody opens up, Morning Star, you have Soul Clinic, you have this, you have that, and everybody is running their own private sector. Government is not the one telling them what to do. Government is not giving the contract to build a school. You get my point. So now in the education area, we don't have any problem with education in terms of quality education of your choice. You come to the farming. If they had left it to the point where people could plant and they give them funding, and they could have also built all these young people were given funding to build the what do you call it, the warehouse and things. They don't need to put major warehouse like the silos we're putting together in Tema before we can get the yam to that location for me to buy at a price that is right for me. They should work with private sector, and it should not just be an MPP person. It should just be the private sector. It should be most of these things. The decision must be taken by the business people who know what they are doing.
And that is what we often say, the private sector being the engine of growth. But I mean, just to be fair as well, if you look at some of the data, what I put on the screen earlier, sharing my blunt thoughts, you would look at how much we had exported between 2016 and 2021, around $27 million worth of yam tubers in 2016, and now we are looking at 48.2.
Is it government exporting?
So it may not necessarily be that, but you cannot also take away the fact that some policies may also be feeding into these developments. But the point is, how much can we do this better to ensure that now that we are number one exporter, for example, we can sustain that? So I get your point. But let's come back to another aspect of our national life, which has to do with the IMF program. Because like it or not, these programs always come with some conditionalities, some matters we're going to have to deal with, which means that everybody is going to endure some discomfort. Bloomberg told us recently that we were the second country, rather sadly, with the highest risk of debt distress in the world, apart from El Salvador. When you look at the IMF program that we are going for, you look at our debt situation, our debt to GDP, you look at the fact that we need sustainability when it comes to our debt management and all of those dynamics. What would you want to see out of an IMF program? This would be the 18th time. And like the likes of Professor Bokpin of the University of Ghana Business School and others have said, if we don't get the right measures in place, we would go 100 times and still be readying ourselves to go back. What do you want to see? And perhaps what would the CPP do differently in this situation?
Currently where we are, we don't have a choice. It's just like when when President Akufo went to HIPIC, it was a matter of definition. We're already in HIPIC. When you owe so much, the debt to the revenue that we collect in this country compared to how much we owe in terms of how much we have to pay, it's almost like more than even the amount that we collect. And in 2025, I think in about the next 3 years, most of our payments would have ballooned. And at that point, there will be so much that we need to pay. So I believe that all I want to see here is that once we've gone to IMF, surely we are hoping that they would help with the leakages in the system, or maybe they would ask us to control expenditure, and they would supervise that. So we might not have that free fall of expenditure that we were doing. So that one might help us, for you and I who don't know what is happening there. But when you talk about IMF, you know that is not going to solve our problem. It is only for resuscitation.
Right.
It's just that we are in emergency and we need some kind of oxygen. So that's the way. I don't care how that's the way I see it. So it's going to help us in the way that we don't have a choice in terms of the policies that we have. But we must take steps. If we don't and repeat what we've been doing, we will still go back to IMF. CPP will stop going to IMF. And the first step we'll take...
A CPP government would stop going to IMF.
I'll show you 2 things that we'll do that will stop taking us to IMF. The first thing we'll do, in fact 3, the first thing we'll do is focus on agriculture. As I just told you.
Okay.
And make sure that anybody who plants, it's in our manifesto anyway, no farmer would sell their produce.
It will all be routed through what?
That statement that no farmer sells their produce means that you need to take some steps. And the first step is to make sure that every farmer's produce is put on a platform. So we know that you are planting tomatoes. But as long as we say, yes, plant the tomatoes, it must be bought by government. When I say government then would work with the youth like all the other youth in place and give them the funding and support system so that they will be able to buy the tomatoes and process it and bring it somewhere and make the canned tomatoes and make the tomato flour and tomato whatever. So we have to focus on agriculture so that we can consume and export like the way we've done with the yam. We must do that so that we do not go back to IMF. Number 2, we must go back to the joint table and renegotiate our mineral resources.
Like I was talking about in my
absolutely, there's no
our royalty system.
We have no choice. We must go back to talk to IMF, World Bank, all the international organizations that says that they are trying to help us. Let them help us in ways that make sense. These companies are coming from there. Ghanaians must get up and renegotiate. If we don't renegotiate it, then we must as well close them and let them be there. Even if it means that we need to give them 1 year of not working, that's what we do. But we must renegotiate the royalties. We shouldn't take anything less than 40%. And then after 5-10 years, we should have 60% or more. Then it should work to the next 10 years, we should have 80% of our...
But it's not mere talk.
No.
It's also about the clout you come with. When you look at the different dynamics, oftentimes you want to exploit these resources, but you don't have the means of doing that. And that is where the challenge is.
Where is
the economic means. Look at our oil, for example. We simply didn't have the know-how at the time. We didn't have the resources to do this. That is why we invited all those entities in there.
We don't have the know-how to even print the daily graphic. We don't even have the know-how to do this. What I'm saying is that we still buy the equipment. Private sector go buy equipment. They buy paper. And with their knowledge of putting information on there, they roll out and we can now have access to the daily graphic. You understand? Yeah. We don't have the know-how to do the equipment. But yet today, somebody sitting in their house watching TV. It is about negotiation and what you think you are bringing to the table.
Right.
We don't think that we are capable. What sense does it make for me to have my gold, my oil, my diamond, my everything, and then you only have equipment and know-how? What is know-how? Know-how is knowledge. Are we saying that we can't get engineers? Are we saying that, do you know the private Ghanaians who are working in sectors outside this country who can really run these institutions? And why can't we hire them?
Good question. Let's wrap the conversation on these quick points. I'll bring in the National Cathedral maybe as the penultimate one, and maybe I would like, especially as I know you're a feminist, you're passionate about women's affairs, to just talk briefly about the Sarah Addo Asafo situation and what is happening. But before that, before those two, you spoke about the banking sector cleanup earlier. There's also the factor of corruption. In fact, per the latest Ghana Statistical Service SHRAJ UNODC report, we lost about 5 billion to corruption last year. The Afrobarometer report puts the executive at the second institution when it comes to corruption, which is interesting because you have the Ghana Police Service atop that list. You have the executive, then you have the legislature and the judiciary, second, third, fourth. But let's focus on the executive. They are in power, so to speak. How much of a problem do you have with corruption, and how do we stem the tide? How would your government, in case you came to power, for example, deal with corruption?
When we come to power. Now,
and be a bit brief on that.
Very,
so we
very
can
brief.
Exhaust the other
in
issues.
2015, I gave a solution to the government, MPP, NDC, how we stem this corruption. Technology is the solution. You cannot leave it free as we have it and expect that when a police officer owns a property that he built in 3 years, in 4 years, or a custom officer owns a car that you know that his salary couldn't have afforded it, do you let it go? When a parliamentarian immediately, or a minister builds a house, this is the house of a parliamentarian, we know that. Do we let it go? When our dear friend died and we looked at the will,
Are you referring to Sarpong?
No, I don't want to mention his name because he's my sweetheart. So,
Right.
Yes, and I'm a traditionalist, so we don't talk about the entire negatively. So the point is that at the end of the day, those properties were they not registered somewhere. I gave a solution that we would use technology. Technology that would, first of all, every property in Ghana would be re-registered.
Every property in Ghana would be re-registered.
Re-registered. And the ones that will not be re-registered means that government can use it and give it to.
So government will take over that property
and give it to people to own. To stay in. But every property. So if you own property, just show us how you paid for it. That's all. If you can't show us how you paid for it.
That would be a rather curious way of going about this situation.
Which other way would
because
you do?
Then a lot of people could maybe not show you how exactly they acquired this over
No. Don't
time,
show me how.
But
No, not show us how. Show us. I'm talking about your, what do you call it? Your taxes. That's all. So if you can, then go pay it. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So maybe you have to sell one to pay for the two that you own. That's a starting point. So if you own 300 and you were a lawyer and you owned 5 properties, and I can't see how the income that you've made to own that property, then it means that for the years you have not paid government, somehow you've made money corruptly or something. So you have to, listen, we cannot treat corruption with kid gloves. We can't. And keep saying it. What is the point? In every day we are number one, and then MPP will come and say the same thing. NDC will come and say the same thing. I gave a solution to NDC. NDC took it for 2 years. They approved it. Before we could do it, they lost power. I gave it to this government, they haven't used it. There is a solution. We use IT.
do you feel this government is not as willing to fight corruption?
Either they don't know or they are not.
Which is it?
Maybe both. See, me, I don't like to attack people personally because the person might not even know, have no clue. But they are just going by the system that they've come to meet.
President Akufo-Addo said he would use the ANAS principle. We've not seen that. Recently, I interacted with it's a difficult principle.
Yes, use technology. Why are you using ANAS principle? You see what I just told you? Register every property. Within a year, you register every property. And then let people show you how they've made their income. And if they show you how they've made their income, and you realize that's how you collect a lot of money and stop a lot of leakages in the system. Do you get my point?
Right.
If we can't plug the leakages and we can't stop people from lavishing things and things that they can be, why don't they happen like that everywhere else in the world? I was trying to do a business with somebody in Holland, and I said, the money is going to come through you. When it comes through you, then you said, do you know what the gentleman said? Yes, I can receive the money, but when the payments come and I have to send it to your company, I would have to take almost 30% was the interest. Without that one, it means he can't do that business. You get my point? Right. I think that we should start from a point. Don't arrest people and jail them immediately. Give them the leeway, but make sure that everything is registered properly. And if it's registered properly, show us with the papers. I was in the US. They came to us. They said they want to look at our papers we had our own business 5 years down the line. The ones we couldn't produce, We couldn't show them how we made it. They gave us a bill for $40,000 to pay. We were shocked. I couldn't pay at that time. You understand? Because we couldn't show how.
And that is a system that is working.
That's a system.
And maybe as we're talking about property taxes and all of that, that would also feed into the conversation. But just to wrap this
if they want corruption to stop, the corruption will stop. Use the people.
If the government wants corruption to stop, it will stop.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't necessarily have the will.
They have not at all. Oh. Not at all. It's rhetoric. If the day the government, any government in power like CPP, that comes in and says that we are going to stop corruption, we will stop corruption because of today's technology. Look at what they are doing with Ghana Card. And all the things that Esla was talking about. I mean, at the end of the Honorable Esla, for that matter, our own mother, at the end of the day, you can see that either she doesn't know what she's talking about, they have no clue what data is. They have you want me to go back to give my fingerprints to the telcos, and you tell us that it's not going to telcos, it's going to government. If it's going to the government server or data, then why are you taking something that you've already taken before already? You've already taken, NIA has taken my fingerprint. Now you are asking me to go register my chip, which first of all it is for me so ridiculous, it's not even funny. You want me to go and register my chip. Now you ask me to take again my facial, give the company my Ghana card, and then give them my fingerprints. Then you say it's not going to a private sector. Yet with the 5 cedis that we are paying, you say that 5 cedis is going to a private sector. So the private sector, who is it? The private sector that owns the app? Because I'm sitting in my home doing it.
Because for the 17 million people who are yet to register, that would sum up to about 85 million Ghana cedis. Where is that going?
I'm not even worried about the money. You people are not seeing the point. I'm worrying about the data. Because today, the rich people are not the people who own the gold. It's the people who own the diamond. It's never in the history of humanity, of mankind, civilization, has so much wealth been made by information and data and mining and all these AI and things. And you're talking about that you don't own a platform. And before I finish, I told you one of the things we do as a party. Apart from the agric negotiating, we would focus on IT. We'll focus and make sure the youth of this country is using IT. We'll make sure that the youth of this country has access to a platform. We don't have a platform. We don't have any platform. So all this AI that they're talking about is going to naught.
Okay, so let's quickly do this. Let's try to end the conversation with talk about the National Cathedral. And also the issue to do with former Gender Minister Sarah Adjoa Safo. Let's quickly wrap the conversation with those two bits. So I would ask you, how do you feel about this National Cathedral? We're looking to spend some $547 million on it. And it could go further. We've committed $25 million as seed money. And also wrap with your quick thoughts on Sarah Adjoa Safo and the entire situation concerning her. Some feel it is targeting. Quick thoughts.
Very quick. For the National Cathedral, I want to think that, yes, our father got the vision or had the promise there. But for me, I don't see the significance of it at all. So you're talking to the wrong person. I don't think it's necessary. But that is his personal commitment. But that we should put emphasis. I don't even think we should worry about. We should not have taken the land. We should not have focused on putting government or Ghana's money into building a cathedral for God. I don't believe in that at all. God is within here. Let's help the people. If we help the people, all these surgery for them that we are trying to fight for their own space that they've earned in history is because of the contribution that they've made to the ordinary people, the suffering that they did. They didn't build a cathedral for God. You don't need to build a cathedral because God is not. There's no God anywhere sitting somewhere. God is within man. God is you and I. And it's the things that we do that makes us see God.
Okay.
So I don't believe in National Cathedral. I think that this whole thing is a waste of our time.
Right.
Yes.
And on Sarah Adjoa Safo?
Oh, as for Adjoa Safo, wherever, she's a woman like me, and I admire her for being there for her daughter. But this thing that she talks about, I mean, this thing should have been done a year ago.
Right.
She shouldn't have left for, the ministry should not have been there for even a month when we realized that she wasn't coming. This is a very important ministry.
She should have been dismissed after just about a month?
Yes, when they realized that she wasn't going to come down.
Right.
You understand? So
right.
I think that the dismissal is in place. She should not be brought back.
Okay.
Because there are millions of young people who need support like a child needs, who can't go to abroad, who are in Ghana, that need social welfare intervention. So I don't think, and there are women who need social welfare intervention. Her ministry is so important and so crucial that for us to even imagine that it was left there for this while, I don't know. It wasn't the best decision.
Right. Well,
The best decision.
This is where we'll have to hang the flag of this conversation. But we're grateful that you took the time to interact with us this morning, and we wish you the best in your exploits. We've been speaking to Chairperson of the Convention People's Party, Akosua Frimpomaa Sarpong, who has been sharing her thoughts on the alleged or supposed denigration of the Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and matters of national concern. Well, do stay with us because today we kickstart day one, I should say, of our second clinic of the EcoBank JoyNews Habitat Fair. It's going to run all the way from today till Sunday. There's a whole lot we'll be coming to you with from the West Hills Mall after the break. Do stay.